Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for August 20 through 23rd, 2021. Well, we are at a pinnacle moment as we move into the second full moon in Aquarius of 2021. This whole year of 2021 has had sign after sign that this is a transitionary year into the new energies of the Aquarian Age, with Jupiter and Saturn moving over into Aquarius together in December, the greater conjunction, and Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, and also the Saturn square Uranus, where the influence we are feeling all year long. Now, this 2021 has been, maybe it fits that, it's been a very busy studying the astrology for the last 6-7 months of this year and, ongoing, but particularly 2021, busy, hectic, crazy. You can't even talk about everything that's going on. Square after square after square, tension pushing us into change. So now after this whole year, we're having a moment, a breather. And very interesting timing that this moment comes just on the edge of this pinnacle moment of the second Aquarius full moon. Another more evidence. It's interesting if you, in the birth chart, as you study the birth chart of an individual, you'll find a pattern start to come up. And if something's really important, you'll see it presented again and again. And it's like evidence, right? And that's exactly what this year is about, saying, hey, you guys, it is time to tip the scales over into this Aquarian age. But it's been a year and a couple of years, a year and a half of total confusion, misdirection. What are we doing? Where are we going? And so what we have right now is all of the air signs represented in trine formation. And we have a beautiful, very powerful earth trine, and no squares or oppositions. And so the energy is giving us a breather. And it's a feeling of like, wait a minute. I didn't know I was going to make it. I was scaling up the side of the slippery rock, praying for somebody to come help me and save me. But now I actually pulled myself up to a ledge. And maybe I'm not at the top, but I made it somewhere. And I'm going to stop and breathe. And from this place, there is more clarity going forward. It's kind of an interesting thing of like, I didn't know if I was going to make it. Oh, I made it somewhere, right? So this energy with these air trines and earth trine in this full moon, it's like, breathe in this moment, breathe, pause at the top of the mountain and just breathe. Find yourself. A big part of the message for SuperNova Souls has been about like, get out of the fray of that lower play of duality, craziness on the planet, and establish yourself. And it's getting easier and easier, more and more. Not that you're not going to fall back down into the depths of the whatever, but we are here to establish ourselves in a higher frequency vibration. And, our consciousness creates reality. We know this. It's really annoying for people to tell us though, right? But it's like, so in our consciousness, we need to go to that place outside of the firmament, outside of the lower matrix, outside of this lower constructed reality, because we know there's so much more. And it's this feeling of being like, wait a minute, I think maybe I made it somewhere, and take a breather. So what we have is the powerful energy, the most powerful energy we're feeling right now is the full moon, the culmination into this Aquarius full moon, because this full moon at the end degrees of Aquarius, 29 degrees, 37 minutes. And so that's 29 and a half degrees and, less than a half a degree from Pisces. So that's Jupiter is at 27 degrees right now. And so this full moon is just like building and building, and full moons always have a crescendo culmination type energy. But in this case, it's very profound because it's coming into this conjunction with Jupiter. Now, the other thing, evidence of this year being a transition year into the new energies of the Aquarian age, is that Jupiter in his retrograde goes over this point, this 29 degrees Aquarius, 0 degrees Pisces, the shift of ages point, because the shift of ages go backwards compared to the planet moving. And so this place between Aquarius and Pisces, right there on the cusp, is the shift of ages point. And the fact that Jupiter retrogrades 3 times over this point this year is more evidence of what it is we're doing here. And I know it's hard. It's like, she keeps talking about this Aquarian age. What in the heck are we even doing? Because it just seems to be getting scarier and darker out there. But that's not actually real. And what you have inside of you and your abilities to vibrate, to resonate, to project, to use your higher intuitive abilities, visionary abilities, so much more powerful than the manifested 3D reality. And so there's strange things happening where it feels like you're like losing time or gaining time, or slipping through a portal where everything is a little weird and different. It's like it's like the Matrix is kind of fritzing out, it's like going from this clear picture that looks real to, the getting fuzzy and almost like a TV screen that isn't, coming into focus. Giving us that evidence, this is a key word apparently, to that, and confirmation that indeed this physical reality that we've completely relied upon is contrived. I mean, physics has proven it to us, right? That we, you don't actually see it unless you think you see it. It's not there unless you see it. So, therein lies the whole crux of the issue here, is that we have been dumbed down and disconnected very deliberately in multitude of ways from our visionary ability, from our ability to know that, we're not a victim to this world. We're a co-creator of this world. And so we're coming back into this. And this is part of this energy of coming to the top of the mountain, or coming to a ledge, or coming to a place where you can rest for a minute, get your bearings, breathe. We've got all this air trine energy saying, just breathe. And can you breathe in the light of the universe, the light of the sun, the truth, and not just the air, but like really breathe in, like, I am human, I exist, I am here right now with the power of life inside of me, and let that breath go into every cell of your body and activate that God code, right? Like, I choose life, because we're at this point, right, of choosing a lane. And that's where I have to say, supernovas, you're kicking ass, because you like made it somewhere. And it's been really freaking hard. And I think there's something to be said for validating the forces that have really worked against you in the light over lifetimes, and particularly this lifetime, and whatever you've been through that, has kept you from knowing who you are. But now the facade is, we're seeing Oz behind the curtain. We're seeing the truth of this. And what the truth of this is our wealth, our true wealth, and that's everything this astrology is speaking to. And so we've got this moon Jupiter, just like full moons always have this big energy that we're moving into. And then Jupiter is this expander, and it's like, it feels like, Jupiter has an energy of, it's always, even difficult transits with Jupiter can bring luck and money and opportunities. It brings more, and then if more goes too far, it's almost like this picture of where, you overeat and you can't fit, you have to unbutton your pants or whatever. Like, there's an excess energy. But in this case, this Jupiter at the end degrees of Aquarius for this full moon is like busting out, like Superman, busting out of the clothes of who you were told you were and into your power, and like just expanding to the point where the constructs that have held you in your humanity in a disempowered state are just like busting at the seams, right? And we know supernovas, you're here to lead the way in this transition. So pat yourself on the back for getting here right now, and breathe and rest. Take a breather. That's what this astrology is telling us to do. But there's a very powerful energy going on. Now, I feel like there's been a shift energetically, and it corresponds with events that we, are not told about, but it's kind of like reading into, feeling into the energies that are trying to play out in the shadow war. And there definitely has been a shift of like almost a sense of like relief, a pressure that has been taken off. And I don't know exactly what that is, but we need to take that moment to enjoy and rest, in between contractions kind of thing. Because this message of this Aquarius full moon is like, you made it somewhere. We didn't get there yet. We still got this whole, other side of the mountain thing. But at least from where you are now, you can see a little bit more clearly that you're actually going somewhere, And so what we have is Mercury and Mars exactly conjunct in Virgo. And Mercury and Mars together are so powerful, our personal planets, and it's like a council. And Mars is like the warrior. Let's go. Let's do this. Action, will, make it happen, direction. And in Virgo, it's about sorting through and being able to discriminate truth from fiction, being able to sort out what's important and leave the rest behind. It's really, really important energy for us right now. And then Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, representing our mind, our conceptual reality, our intellectual capabilities. And so when Mars, the warrior, and Mercury come together, it's like a mastermind, right? So using the mind to strategically move forward and shoot off in perhaps new directions, right? Because Virgo is a mutable sign, and we've had a lot of mutable energy this year with the nodes in Gemini and Sagittarius. And that has been hard because it's like, it's a feeling, if you're constantly adjusting, you don't know where you're coming from and where you're going to, but that constant adjustment is so important because it all comes down to this shift that we're in. That's represented by Mercury and Mars, that mastermind energy, an exact trine coming up here this weekend and for this full moon with Uranus. Now, not just that, Uranus and Taurus, the ruler of Aquarius, but then Uranus is turning retrograde. So it's stationing retrograde just as this trine happens, which is this moment of like, okay, we made it this far, right? Now, Uranus is at 14 degrees Taurus, and that's as far as it's going to make it this year now that it's turning retrograde, but it's almost halfway. And when you're almost halfway, you kind of are like, oh, this is what's going on. Oh, this is what we're doing. Now it's interesting because maybe what's happening behind the scenes that we're feeling the shift has to do with this energy of cleaning up with the Virgo of Mercury and Mars together, the mastermind, cleaning up, and then in trine to Uranus and Taurus, which represents a revolution of wealth. Because a huge energy with our revolution of wealth and moving into the Aquarian age is that we can't take the dark money with us. That's not going to work. So that's what's been going on. There's a rumor of a new financial system, a quantum financial system being already implemented in certain countries, and that this system is set up in a way of the quantum vibrational computing that can make it really hard for people to misuse financial resources and completely change our financial system. Part of the shadow that needs to get cleaned up is that our money, particularly in the US, taxpayer dollars, being a crisis being created. And then, oh, we got to give money, and then we got to allocate this money, and then we give our donations and all that. And then that money never making it to the people who need it, who are, first of all, let's say Haiti, right? And it's like, it was just a contrived situation that resulted in deep atrocities, and the money lined the pockets of those who created that crisis. I mean, this is the type of shit we're going to have to face, and that our resources have gone into very, very dark things that are designed specifically to psychologically keep us in a low vibration, horrible place that we could never spiritually ascend. And we paid for it, and so the financial system we have right now is about creating crisis after crisis and playing and printing money and, to just basically rape and pillage the regular everyday worker, right? And so this cannot go on. And that's exactly what this is, seems to be. It's like, we got to get this cleaned up before we can do anything else. Now, what does this mean for us individually, SuperNova Souls? The revolution of wealth and the cleaning up, especially with that mastermind energy. It's like dismantling the mind control, right? Like our opportunity to wait a minute, I don't subscribe to that reality. No, I'm not playing. I'm not going to let you push my buttons and drag me down into that place, and so the revolution of wealth and the cleaning up that has to happen is the psychological mind control that's been specifically targeting advanced souls for lifetimes, but now the whole planet is under this spell, literally a spell. But short circuiting, right? It's like the static is coming in, So it's like the green screen is being revealed, behind that what you're seeing isn't actually real. And then we're like, okay, so what is real? Because the earth energy, the Virgo trine Uranus and Taurus is like, earth wants stability, right? Especially Taurus is the fixed earth. It wants stability, the ground under my feet, and then it's like, okay, so what is stable? And it's hard when it's like, oh, who I am here and my existence is stable, even though I have no idea who I am. I'm dissolving. Everything I thought was true is a lie. Just like everything just completely rearranging. So we're definitely having almost like this is an assimilation. We've been kind of holding on for dear life for 2021 and holding our breath. And now it's like, okay, just take a breather. And we made it somewhere. Get yourself grounded, get yourself oriented, clean up, organize, and see that there is a little bit more clarity, perhaps, right? Because when Uranus and Mercury interact, there's a really great opportunity for that higher self, higher mind to speak to the lower mind and get those on the same page, right? And it's harmonized. These trines are just so harmonized. And so it's like, we've really got to take this moment to be present in these energies. Now, the cleaning up, and we're looking for what is that about? The clarity comes from the trans that we've been feeling this week. And we'll feel it through the weekend, but yesterday was exact Venus trine Black Moon Lilith. Venus in Libra loves to be home in Libra. It's about balance and peace and that feeling like kind of that equilibrium moment that we're having right now. But then in trine to Black Moon Lilith, it's basically this energy of, again, cleaning up. Black Moon Lilith is the deepest, darkest secrets that have been hidden from us, the dark side of the moon. And those places of the deepest, darkest places are automatically associated with shame. Anything hidden, right? And this is what happened to the feminine. The feminine teachings and the feminine magic were suppressed and hidden in order to stay safe and not get in the wrong hands. But then it became associated with darkness and shame, you know? And so Black Moon Lilith, the dark side of the moon and the deepest, darkest secrets in Gemini is about communication, the air and moving, vibration, and energy and expression. So Venus comes back to the garden by the feminine voice being heard again. And this is really interesting how it comes back to the whole revolution that we're in of wealth with Uranus and Taurus, because that revolution of wealth has to do with the feminine being heard again, because the true energy of the feminine, that's like the deepest, darkest mysteries that got buried with the scrolls, is basically free energy. Like this very simple concept that they don't want us to know, like to be disconnected, that the earth, nature's bad, right? And that, how did we get duped? How did we get so brainwashed to not see the magic of our world and get so controlled by fear? You just need a little bit of time with the animals out in nature to feel okay about things, right? The feminine is regenerative. It's self-healing, self-correcting. Our earth continues to regenerate herself magically. This is free energy. Free energy is a feminine type of electricity where there's an initial spark, but then perpetual motion. And this technology has been around for a very long time and completely suppressed and repressed. And, so it all comes down to this one concept on many, many levels. The forces that have gone into making sure that we don't know who we are and that we're completely disconnected from our self-healing, right? Mechanism, our regeneration. Now, there's an energy in this, almost like as we come to this top of the mountain place in this culmination moment, it's kind of like aha, right? There's some ahas available. And this has to do with these whole concepts. And a big part of what's going on for the supernova soul is a big shift. And it's like a timeline shift. It's your ego death. It's like, since we've been disconnected from the power of life itself, which is our immune system, it's what makes everything, animates life and, self-correcting. But since we've been disconnected from that, we got in this mode, and this is kind of the South Node and Sagittarius energy that's really coming to the fore right now for the rest of the year. And this energy is like these old stories we got stuck in. And those stories serve to bring us to a place where we believed we personally, it was up to us to somehow like make up for something or fix or heal or change, and come and fight. And, we got engaged, it's like that energy of like trying to interact with a narcissist and trying to, kind of trying to talk sense and be reasonable and use logic, and you're never going to get anywhere, right? Because they're only going to get their hooks in and steal more of your energy. And that's exactly this like dark, traumatic, abusive relationship we've been in with our controllers on Earth. And but now there's this interesting thing happening, and it's a benefit of all the work we've done with all the mutable energies and our ego death and like the power of life. This is the divine timeline, right? This is the whole trick. It's like we got so caught up in trying to figure out how to make the changes we want to see happen to make our world better so that we can feel better on Earth and, and the power of life, the power of the divine timeline, the power of life force and this regenerative is so, it handles everything. We don't need to handle, it's handled. And can we get out of the way and let life live life? So this is our moment. And it's kind of like, okay, I'm a surrender, not a surrender to the control, Okay, fine, I'll go do what you say in order so I can go do this and do that. It's like, no, it's about a surrender to that divine timeline and to your divine self and why you're here and what you're doing, which are so much bigger than the lower play, and establishing in that higher vibrational frequency and getting out of our own way, because the divine plan, nobody knows what that is, and we can think and mastermind till the cows come home, right? But that's maybe this trine. It's like getting the lower mind and the higher mind in alignment with the warrior, and like getting out of the way so that, so much of how we got so messed up right now is that timeline, time travel. You have to understand that these controller energies have access to time travel, and they know who we are. They know who we've been in our past lives. They know exactly how to F with us. And here we are just like clueless, but maybe that's by divine plan. So we get back on the divine plan and get out of the way and let life, because the self-correcting mechanism is so powerful and it knows exactly the way. This is the cool thing. Like when you get that appropriate, most indicated, most similar homeopathic remedy, this is what they call a straight line to cure. It's like that remedy is going to take the body, give the body the message of the quickest, most harmonious way to get to health. That's the vital force. That's the divine timeline. And it knows. We don't. But we have a higher intelligence that knows. But what does it feel like to get on that energy and, put all these stories that keep getting stirred up? What I'm seeing is the cleansing that's happening is like it's like this fountain, just energy, and the energy's moving, and it's all muddied up and confusing, and it's easy when that cleansing is happening to get pulled back into the mud, right? But it's really like, oh no, this is coming up because it needed to be re-experienced, right? Because in homeopathy and true healing, you're always going to have a presentation of the symptoms as they leave the body. It's called a return of old symptoms. And that's like a really good sign. So it's kind of like you experienced a trauma, but it's like at the time, you couldn't process it or even know what was going on. You just had to survive through it, right? And then have you had this experience? Not fun. Some situation comes along and replays that trauma, but it's an opportunity for you to be like, oh, right? It's that unraveling, it's undoing. It's like this presentation of old symptoms. It's not like actual pathology. It's the energy leaving the body. And this is exactly what's happening on the earth right now. It's like we received the remedy and we're in the healing crisis. And all these traumas, we have to go this close to completely replaying them before we realize we're playing a game. Life is a game. And the way out is by recognizing you're being played and using the power of the mind that we have right now with Mercury and Mars together, like the power of the mind to say, no, I'm not going to replay that story. I'm going to put my attention here. Okay, yes, it's like we can't run from this. A lot of times there's like stuck emotions that if it keeps coming up, it might be that you've been running from the feeling, and you got to go deep into the feeling and let it vibrationally move, through your body, because trauma is stored in our cells as memory, even more than our mind can handle the memories. Our mind will just go, oh, I can't deal with that. But our body will hold on to these memories. So there might be a somatic experience coming up that you didn't even know you had, because we've been mind wiped and disconnected and messed with on multiple levels. But we can, you go there, move through it, and just like watch it just leave your body. We're going through a mass exorcism right now on the planet, and these vibrational frequencies coming in to change our DNA, remind us who we are, and that God code, the activation, and all of that other stuff has to, dissolve as that phantom reality. So it's kind of this very interesting place where there's just this harmonious support, and the harmonious energies It's not a time to, it's like everything you're doing at the moment can be harmonized, right? But it's not really a time to push forward in ways, it's kind of like ride it, let it, the energies work for you. It's this exact energy, like get the F out of your own way. And so maybe that's part of it. The revolution of wealth for the supernova soul has to do with our self-worth, and feeling worthy. Like a lot of what we're working through as we clean up these old stories is, if we don't know who we are, then, part of the whole story of that, of us being kept from knowing who we are, is kept in that victim place. And in that victim place, we have low self-worth and we don't feel that we deserve God's love. This is what it's like, wait a minute. I'm feeling that love coursing through my veins right now. What do you mean I don't deserve it? It's life itself. It's our God-given right to be God consciousness, and we got to claim it, own it, and live it, and love it. And so take this breather moment. Like I said, Venus and trine to Black Moon Lilith, it's like harmoniously bringing back the feminine voice of intuitive reason, of caring, loving, compassion, and that regenerative abundance, the truth. And so very powerful energy there. We also have Saturn in Aquarius in trine to the North Node in Gemini. And this is really powerful. So we got this, all the air signs represented. And we're kind of part of what's happening at this pinnacle moment of reaching somewhere. You don't know where you are quite yet, but you're starting to get a lay of the land and what's really happening here. Seeing down the other side, the rest of 2021. And there's a very interesting energy. Like Jupiter turns direct October, doesn't go back over the end degrees of Aquarius for the third and final time, very much completion until December, the last week of December, right after Christmas. Saturn square Uranus, the last hit of that is in December. And in December is our last bit of our last eclipses with the North Node in Gemini and South Node in Sagittarius. So all of these factors are resolving then. And so there's something going on that we've reached this point and we can see that we've reached somewhere, right? And then it'll be really interesting to have the rest of the year unfold and know that it doesn't really dissolve till December. So this clarity that's coming, it's a culmination, but it's not like the completion. But we can see that it's going to complete. And maybe that's an energy of like, okay, so 2022, completely different energy. We've been in this massive adjustment and now it's time to make some moves, but not quite yet. We're still kind of dissolving, coming into our divine timeline, recognizing, remembering who we are. I think a lot of truth coming forward in these coming months in the world. And the deep, dark truths are scary. And it's like, ugh, we don't want to go there. It's like we've been avoiding it. But underneath that is everything that we've been talking about, the power of who we really are. Those lies that have been fed to us are all designed to keep us from knowing who we are. Right? And it's that thing of like, what if that's the only thing that's kept you in this immobilized place, is not knowing who you are? And then the energies of control that we gave our power over to, and inadvertently, they know who we are. And is that fair? See, this is part of the deal here. It's like, as we move into the Aquarian age, it's like, and this is maybe Venus and Libra bringing this up, like justice, the scales, like what the F is going on here, where the most evil people in the world have the most wealth and freedom, and where's the justice? Where's the cosmic justice and coming down to earth, right? That's got to happen for us to really move into the golden age that is available to us. And what does cosmic justice mean for you, supernova soul? if they've been using time travel techniques and the knowledge of who we are, and we don't know who we are, and we're playing by the rules, you know, then in order to take back control, we got to completely figure out who we are. And that's an interesting process. So this is definitely part of the clarity that's coming. I hope you can consider joining for this live activation for the Aquarius full moon version 2, second Aquarius full moon, because it is this breather moment, and it is coming to this top of the mountain, and together we can use this energy to get some clarity and maybe get that glimpse and that picture. I'm almost seeing like that's available right now because the veil is thinning and the circuitry is breaking down and the green screen's showing. It's like maybe there's this past life picture that could like kind of pop in and be that revelation for you of like, oh, I can feel that SuperNova Souls don't really want to know who they are and their full potential because they're scared. We've been programmed to be scared of our power, But if we're going to have a revolution of wealth, then that's what's required. A revolution of wealth, getting out of dark money and the quantum financial system, and Nasara Jasara, the financial opportunities to come as we redistribute wealth on the planet. It's exciting, but we've got to have a revolution of wealth of SuperNova Souls owning their power and being like, yeah, I'm here. I know who I am now. I don't know. Maybe you don't need to know exactly who you've been and, all that, but having a sense of claiming back the bigness of who you are, that you're so much more than this contrived reality. And you no longer need to be a psychologically held, quarantined psychic slave, to the system. So a great balancing, it must occur. And we're having a moment of pause, a moment of clarity, a moment to breathe, get above the riffraff, get above the clouds, establish. I'm kind of seeing this, like we have this beautiful reality, and then there's like a firmament cap on our reality, that quarantine of the lower matrix. And like I said, it's short-circuiting. And we've got to run with it and step right up out and establish in that 5D energy, establish in that whole other frequency. And it's really weird because it feels like it's like there's programming that says, oh, it's really hard and you got to da-da-da-da-da and you got to do all this stuff. And it's like, no, it's our natural state and it's right there. We just have to feel worthy and give ourselves permission. And we know exactly what to do. This is part of being a SuperNova Soul. Why it's been so hard is because you're fully prepared to step into your full expression. And there you have the revolution of wealth. So really, really powerful. When the stars, just the messages for us, right? That's lining up. And when we can take advantage of it, it's just, this is so soothing and healing. And like, let the winds of change dance around you as you become more stable in who you are as the abundance of the universe manifests. Yeah. So now, because we have this moment of pause, we have this second full moon in Aquarius, like, oh, what are we doing? Where we go? Oh, okay. Just breathe, rest, get your bearings, prepare. This in between contractions type of energy, get that clarity. But then next week, starting Monday, Tuesday, we're going to start to feel, and through the whole next week, then we're going to come back into squares and oppositions, and so that's going to be where we go, okay, now we got our clarity, we got our rest, and now, squeeze through, good, do it, let's do it. There's no turning back. And so Mercury will be coming into a square with Neptune and a trine with Pluto. And that's activating the Pluto-Neptune sextile. So it's interesting because it's a square, but it's still this magical keyhole. We can do this. We've got solutions. We can figure it out. We got to claim back our autonomy in order to claim back our mystical revelation, our spiritual service. This is, as the feminine is heard again, in that picture of going in, being in nature and getting, perspective. One of the things that nature can teach us right now, the intelligence of the living, breathing, regenerative world, and is that they're in the divine flow, right? And they're not worried about it. They're letting life live life, right? So there's just a lot of intelligence for us right there now. And also, the power of nature is in the level of service. So this is what Neptune in Pisces ultimately represents. And Neptune in our birth chart is like where we'd really like to put our spiritual service. And that's like a higher evolutionary place to be. But isn't it interesting how our society and our world kind of poo-poos that? Like, oh, it almost makes, I feel like I've been made fun of for actually caring and wanting to heal and make things better. And it's like, pff, right? And maybe we are finding that we've been playing God and trying to do some agenda of like, saving and healing, right? And we need to drop all those stories to get into this divine plan, oneness, our own expression of this, right? But it's like the key to getting out and back into our own spiritual autonomy has to do with service. We're in this time where we need to pick a lane. You can't be a little dark, a little light. You got to whoa, this is what this time is about. The contrast, pushing us into that lane of being 100% in love with God and ourselves and life and present. Now, that is exactly how the trees show up. What about those rocks, man? They got stability and power, and yet they move too. Mountains move. And the plants, the medicine that is available to us, it's so interesting. I just feel like the revolution of wealth that we're going to see that has to do with health, because health is wealth, right? You can't really enjoy your wealth if you're not healthy. But the revolution of health that's going to be saving our ass has to do with simple things, simple herbal support, exercise, vitamin C, vitamin D, these simple health, fresh, natural foods and exercise and cleansing diet and all that. That's going to be what saves people from the health crisis that's coming. It's all we needed in the first place, right? But just coming back to like, say these plants was like, oh, what an offering. This plant is just growing there in continual service to our world. And animals, they just exist in love, and constantly in service of unconditional love. Even though there's the predatory, food chain thing that happens, it's all happening in love, And so can we come back to our human evolution, to that place of service? And that's exactly this opportunity. And that's how we come back into our autonomy. Pluto in Capricorn is speaking of power structures and structures that control power. So it's Pluto in Capricorn is about us getting outside, taking our power back from outside power structures. And then Neptune in Pisces, the full expression of the Pisces energy, the oneness consciousness, which is full presence as a living, breathing, existing part of this wholeness. And you can't see any spiritual path you go down, you're eventually going to get to this full realization that we're all one. Like beautiful and scary at the same time, right? But it's like when you're there and you're present in your oneness principle, then like you're showing up in service. Just existence is in service to the whole. And this is all SuperNova Souls have really wanted, right? Your full expression is that place of showing up in this service to what we're doing here. I mean, why not? Should we do it or not do it? Get off the fence. Like, I don't want to halfway live anymore. I don't want to live this bullshit reality to make you guys feel better and not have to face your darkness. No, I'm going to show up in the truth and the light and the service. And, it's not about using, maybe that's that shift of like feeling like we have some agenda that we need to go and fix and heal and da 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 da. It's just showing up. And so very powerful energy. Now, at that same time of that Mercury square Neptune, Venus will be opposing Chiron. So we're going to have some tension here. And Venus opposite Chiron. Chiron's the wounds over where we've given away our life force, our power. And maybe it's like the big pain of it is realizing we did that. And we decided to half-ass live for all this time, and go along with the program. And it's like, I'm not going along with the program. I'm on the divine timeline of, existing in that place of full presence in this experience with the birds and the trees and the animals. So breathe, go to the top of the mountain, be there, rest, regenerate, drop all the old stories, and just be present there. And hopefully some clarity can come about what's on the other side of this culmination event of this Aquarius full moon. So I hope you can consider joining that live activation. If you can't make the live time, I know it's a hard time for a lot of time zones, and it just has to work out. I use a pendulum actually to figure out where the best energetic time is that can work in my time zone. But know that we're working outside of time. This is the whole point of this thing. That's why time is so weird right now. It doesn't really exist. It's a mechanism of 3D. Us trapped in the lower matrix is also trapped in time. As we evolve, we have a completely different relationship to time. And so, kind of being present with that. So just know that the activation, you can catch the replay, your questions, your clarity, that connection to your soul group will be there, even if you can't make it live. And so I hope that you will join us live or the replay on the next update. I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a beautiful weekend and soak up the harmony. It's been a long moment since we've had this level of harmony and peace, and we got to just grab that moment. And maybe that's part of it too, right? It's been so squeezing, so hard, so much pressure, but that allows us, and so many supernova souls feeling so alone, so isolated, so disconnected. But it's like, then when those connections come, then when that path comes, then when that peace comes, you can fully embrace it. You have been prepared to fully embrace. And that's exactly what this moment on the top of the mountain is about. So let's meet there and breathe together and see what happens on the other side. So I look forward to seeing you soon on the activation or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.